Good afternoon, everyone. This is Alvie from Just Alvie News. I am live at the Pulaski County Courthouse where the murder trial of Daryl Scarbrough is day 3, officially day 4. Give you guys a few seconds to log on while you're waiting. Click a reaction, click a care, click a heart on this one, and all that good stuff. And I'll give you all a few seconds to get in there. What's up, Brandy? Man, it is definitely cold outside today. What's up, Shauna? I'm sitting back out in the courtroom, so we're waiting for other people to come on. Just let you guys know, if you didn't know, up until this morning, I was barred from being in the courtroom before court got started. Today, a member of the prosecution team come up and told me I'd been released. What's up, Brittany? What's up, Montana? Had been released and I would be able to sit in the courtroom. So I was able to sit in the courtroom for the entire defense. The defense wasn't much at all. The defense recalled one of the forensic people, I got her name, and they recalled Jeff Allison, the lead detective on the case. As far as the forensic guy person they recalled, they was just basically talking about the amount of blood sample they took versus what they could have taken. What's up, Tina? Then they re-questioned Detective Allison, similar about the same thing, and then the defense rest. That was it. So they recalled 2 prosecution witnesses, then the defense rest. Shortly after that, the jurors we adjourned for a few minutes. The jurors got they got their jury instructions put together. When we come back into court, the judge went over all the jury instructions with the jury, and then we heard closing arguments. First up was the assistant prosecutor on the case. She got up and talked about the different charges, because just like in the Hunter Britton case, the jury is going to be, we'll talk more in depth about this tonight. The jury is, under law, they have to be given both capital murder as an option and murder of the first degree. The big difference in the two is capital murder, in this case, requires aggravated robbery. First degree murder would just be with a robbery. Aggravated robbery means they had a weapon when they was doing the robbery. In this case, they definitely had a weapon. So assistant prosecutor kind of went over the difference of what they had to look at, explained the importance of they first had to all 12 agree on whether he was guilty of capital murder or not before they could look at the murder and the other. She then went on and covered the timeline. And I'll be more specific about it when we have more time later today. She covered every person that drove by the car. She covered every person, that drove by Daryl Scarbrough. They covered the 911 calls from where it pinged, in that nature. Went over a few other things. I got good notes on all of that. It just happens to be on this phone I've got. I didn't know I was going to be allowed in the courtroom, so I didn't bring my pen and paper, so I've been taking notes on my cell phone. Then the defense got up for their for their closing statement. Now, what I'd been hearing from people inside the courtroom, that Proctor, who's the defense attorney, was soft-spoken and sometimes mumbled his words. That definitely wasn't the case during his closing arguments. He was very animated. He used his arms. They're not denying that a murder happened. They're not denying that an aggravated murder happened. What they're saying is all that happened, and it's just not my client. He had a slideshow he put on. He even put a pound cake on his slideshow. I found that disrespectful, but that's just kind of the way defense goes sometimes. He made sure to point out to the jury, make sure they understood that they were under no obligation to prove how David's blood got on Scarbrough, because David's blood was on Scarbrough. That there was under no obligation to have Scarbrough testify. That all that burden relies with the state, because the state's got to prove beyond a reasonable doubt. They talked about a blue car that drove by shortly before Zach, another person who identified Daryl Scarbrough before David was murdered. Zach went through first. This blue car, and I'm going to get a picture of it so we can find this blue car, drove by shortly after that. Now, all this happened within minutes. Oh, bummer, I keep losing you. No one else is saying anything, so I hope it's that they never could locate the blue car. I'm going to get a picture of the blue car to see if we can't locate the blue car, because I want to talk to that person in the blue car. There's about 40-second difference between the blue car and Zach Ramsey going up. And then shortly after that, what's up, Josh? Shortly after that, you had Gina and Kathy. They made 911 calls. Melinda made 911 calls, all saying that they seen Daryl Scarbrough and kind of identified him. The defense also showed a picture of David's truck once it had been recovered, and was talking about how clean it looked on the inside, and how had it been out in the woods that it would look more clean. It wouldn't be that clean. David's toolbox was stolen off of the truck. So he raised an issue about that. Where did that toolbox go? Obviously, Daryl didn't steal it. Apparently, the line they're going with is David was wanting a vehicle to drive to Pine Bluff. And I can infer this by the fact that the defense attorney actually said if he was a thief and he wanted to get away, why did he ditch the truck? Why didn't he drive straight to Pine Bluff? He asked simple questions like, how would he know they was looking for the truck? And of course, we all know how we know he's looking for the truck, because we were live on here looking for the truck. There's a lot of things a jury don't get to know. Y'all can tell I'm talking a little more freely now, because I did get permission to speak more freely. So I'll be able to give a better recap of everything a little bit later on. The defense is basically saying, hey, yeah, David was killed. David was killed during that time frame, but it wasn't our guy. They point out that he left David's wallet. One of the things that I found very disturbing, no, Regina, they didn't ask the public at a blue car. I don't think the blue car come up until a little bit further on in the investigation. Yeah, Josh, I am able to be in the courtroom now. And the jury is in deliberations as we speak. As during the defense's closing statement, so David was shot. I can tell you guys this now. David was shot 6 times, all 6 times in the right side, 5 times in the right side of his body, and where they found David's blood on Daryl's clothing would be on the same side where David would have been bleeding in his truck. The prosecution's version of the case is that David approached him. There was some kind of altercation. Scarbrough shot into the vehicle. Believe David might have shot back. Shoots several times. David stumbles out of the truck, and then Scarbrough puts another bullet in his head right from the top, once again on the right-hand side. Those are some of the things that I've known for over a year now. I knew it that day, but I was trying to protect the integrity of the case, and the defense was like, how come there wasn't a marking on the pavement from the bullet going through his head? Testimony was a little graphic. It was talking about David's brain matter, being on the road. So, in my opinion, the defense didn't put up very much of a defense at all. They're just saying it's not my client that did it. It's not my client that's get it. Josh is asking her they're going for the death penalty. How trials work, and definitely in the trial of Michael Davis, I think this was a shock to everybody for killing Hunter Britton. The jury is not allowed to consider what a sentence could be for that crime. So in other words, until the jury comes back with a guilty verdict, they won't even know what the possibility of a sentence would be. So that hasn't officially been brought up in court yet, Josh. I know at one point they was seeking the death penalty. What's up, Gina? Don't know if that's still on the table or not. We will see when the jury comes back. Now, once the head defense attorney rested from his closing arguments, Barbara, the lead prosecutor, got back up to make her closing statements. She covered all the objections. She went again, talked about circumstantial evidence, because the defense was saying, and I got quotes on it, says, they're just making up a story. And you can't make up a story. You can't make up a story is what he kept saying. He actually screamed that really loud. You just can't make up a story. The prosecution got up and said, we're not making up a story. Yes, everything is circumstantial evidence. So she went over with the jury what is circumstantial evidence and things of that nature. So basically, closing arguments tend to begin crafting. Thank you. They begin crafting how they want the jury to think and process. So the defense knows there was a murder. The defense knows that Daryl Scarbrough, the phone was pinged. David's phone was pinged in around Daryl's whereabouts. We know Daryl was hitchhiking. And all that stuff. He's just saying they made it up. That's the defense. The prosecution gets up. They show more pictures of David's vehicle. They cover point by point of everything the defense said. They explained circumstantial versus non-circumstantial evidence and why that's important. What's up, Jennifer? You're welcome, George. Like I said, later tonight when we have more time, or maybe tomorrow. Jennifer's today your birthday, by the way. At some point, we'll cover more in detail circumstantial versus a made-up story. Barbara, the prosecutor, definitely explained the difference between the two in this particular case. Once in that area, what I was wondering, he was looking for a ride. He's looking for a ride and water. Looking for a ride and water is what they said, Josh. And by the way, y'all start getting all y'all's questions together, because when I'm at home and not in this courthouse, and you're welcome, Glenn. I want to be able to answer y'all's questions. So y'all start getting all y'all's questions ready. At this point, once the trial's over, I'll answer any question that you guys have, 100%. What's up, Charlotte? Even things I haven't spoke about before, I'll be willing to talk about. Prosecution pretty much closed their the prosecution closed with their closing arguments by actually showing David's body laying on Alvie Chapel Road. It was rough seeing it that night. It was just as rough seeing it today. I have to tell you, David's girlfriend and David's mom are strong individuals for being able to sit through that, have to relive those images. Of course, yesterday was full of lots of graphic images like that. Kaylee, at this point, the jury is in deliberation, so it'll be completely up to the jurors when we go back in there. Because as soon as they get a verdict, they'll call everybody back up for the verdict. Once the verdict is read, if he's found guilty, then they'll move on to the sentencing stage with that. So then that'll be a second deliberation for the jurors. The jurors, there's 13 of them. It looked like maybe that one alternate that snitched on me might have got released, rightfully so. Made up of 7 males, 6 females, varying age, probably from mid or late 20s to early 50s, possibly 60. Yeah, they're in jury deliberations right now. It's beginning at 2 o'clock. So Barbara showed a picture of David laying on the ground and told him, don't forget that this is who it's about. It's about David Dunn, and I couldn't agree more. Now, Regina says that we're going to have a verdict today. I would think so. And in my observations of the jurors, you could tell they're tired. There was a few key things when both the prosecution and the defense were speaking, that more of them was more subject to take notes. A lot of that have to do with the difference between capital murder and first-degree murder, and the difference between aggravated robbery and just robbery. We did find out they did drop the possession of a firearm and furtherance of a felon. Yeah, so I fully expect a verdict today. 100% I expect a verdict today. The jurors did look like they were engaged. I looked at their notebooks. Several of them was taking notes. I got to guess who the foreman's going to be. I'm going to see if that's right. I didn't see very many of them looking at the defendant. If you watch juries, usually when they can't look at the defendant, they're leaning more towards guilty already. But that more applies the other way. And Heather, the firearm charge was just an extra charge. In other words, they'd have to prove that he actually had the gun. So I can understand why they do that. Now, here's my plan. I'm going to FOIA request all the detectives' notes, because I can do that on Monday. We're going to get a copy of the court transcript. That way we can see what we can miss. I am, over the next several months, we're going to let some time pass. Sharon, David's girlfriend, her and David's mom was kind of upset that I was kept from the courtroom. She did approach me today and said, hey, because she don't live around here anymore. She goes, set up on how we can do a remote interview. So one of the things I'll be doing over the course of the next 6 months to the year, I'll be getting with all the witnesses involved, all the ones that are willing to talk to me, and sitting down getting their version of it. And plus, when I do that, I'm going to bring some other people that's not part of the case in, that I know without them this case wouldn't be here. I'm not saying a whole lot about that right now because I'm in the courthouse. When I was sitting in the closing arguments, I was sitting there thinking I could help the defense and the prosecution with what I know from that day. I will definitely be able, since the trial will be over, I'll definitely be able to go into great more detail about what I know, how I know it, and things of that nature as well, and how that, how my thoughts is different from the what the prosecution or the defense put up. So yeah, so they are in jury deliberations as we speak. So I want to get on and let you guys know that. I'm going to sneak down to the refreshment room, grab me a snack. Jennifer asked how long I was going to be up here. I have no idea. I'm definitely riding it out to the verdict. You know, court usually ends around here by 4:30. Still a government building. What's up, Pam? not Pound David's mom, Pound, my friend Pound. So I'll be here until after the verdict. Surely we'll go to the sentencing stage today. I'm going to try to get you some pictures of the defendant. But I want to be in there when they read the verdict. So sad the day it happened. They had just left my house with my husband. Oh. It is a very sad and tragic story. The more I learned about David, the more people I talked to, you see what a great guy he actually was. Man, just so much about this, So I'll ask y'all to continue, say a prayer for David's family, David's girlfriend. I need someone to share this video to the I'm from Redfield group. That way they know as well, because I told people Kimberly says David was such a wonderful person. No, dude don't have any family around here. He's actually in court all by himself. So, no, Daryl Scarbrough has no family from around here. I'll give you more of his background when I'm away from the courtroom. I don't know where the jury deliberation room is, and I'm not trying to facilitate a mistrial on that. So I'll be riding it out up here. I will let you guys know if one of y'all can share this video to the I'm from Redfield group. That would be perfect. I promised Redfield PD I'd call and let them know once jury deliberation started. So I'm going to give them a call and let you guys know. This is Alvie from Just Alvie News, live from the Pulaski County Courthouse, where the jury is currently in deliberations for Daryl Scarbrough, who's on trial for capital murder and the death of David Dunn. We should have a verdict before the day's out. Hit share on the video, and always, how do you end on that? Like, for real. Like, I love my always make good choices slaying, but is that really an appropriate way to end on a video when you're talking about something so tragic? We'll just end with this. Justice for David.